Walking and biking.
Yeah.
I only got X amount of money, so this is what I'm gonna buy, and I'm gonna go anywhere to buy it.
Yeah, that's how the
So-
government runs, actually. They have a budget, they have to
This is
spend it.
Okay.
The division always thought that way. We have a budget, we
And so,
spend it.
right, absolutely.
We're recording us now?
It's gonna go down.
Because it's.
Huh?
we had last-
Oh, 5 to 9. I'm late, huh? For a very important date. Okay. I count to 60 really slow.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think it's 36.
Because I was trying to be consistent.
It was consistent.
It's 36,
Yeah.
72.
Oh, it's 3672?
Uh-huh.
No 3 in the end. Okay. Thank you.
How did that happen?
You're working too hard.
It's in there twice somewhere.
See, now we got more company.
There we go.
Yeah.
Now
Hi.
we got a quorum plus, huh?
Yeah.
I am
Now we're official.
We're just rolling here.
Louis Commissioner, nice to meet you.
Okay, I would like to call the March 2nd Planning and Zoning Public Hearing Meeting to order, please. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Commissioner Ochoa,
Yes. Perfect, thank you.
Commissioner Hollinshead,
Here.
Commissioner McCurr,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Here.
Commissioner Wood,
Absent.
And Kindred, isn't that the last one?
What's that?
Andy Springrose
Yeah,
And
I'll
JD.
take care of it.
is absent. So quiet.
My apologies to our new commissioner, Kindred. The name is on the digital version, but it didn't come on the print version.
Commissioner Kindred,
Kindred, here.
Kindred,
Yes, here.
Get a
Oh,
quorum.
here. Quorum, okay. Then we can stand for the pledge, can't we? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now we're to the meeting minutes from our January 5th meeting, when we were last together. Can I please have a motion for approval
I'll make a motion.
and a second?
I'll second. Look here.
Can we do a voice vote for the minutes? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes from our January meeting?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're all good. We get along. Thank you. This is a little bit different style we have today than what we're used to, so if I make any mistakes, don't hesitate to correct me.
We're training too.
Oh, okay,
Madam
we're all
Chairman,
training.
So
Can I get my
we're
trustee
all in the
sign
same
now?
boat.
We have our first public hearing is about the address of 39172 and 39120 Green Bay Road, Tractor Supply Company, with going for a map amendment and a plan development. Lost my map thing. Just 1 second, I find a piece of paper giving more descriptions. give you a little background. It's a proposed map amendment. Description of proposed or requested action. The proposed property is currently zoned suburban residential in the district. The requested action is to be rezoned to a B1 business district. This property resides in the B-1 North Green Bay Road Overlay District, and the B1 zoning exists throughout the trade area. If you are going to give any testimony tonight or talk before us, I need to swear you in ahead of time, so if you could please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give tonight is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Could I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make the motion.
And a second?
I'll second. McCure.
Thank you. If you'd like to come forward and talk to the
You need to vote,
microphone.
Madam Chairman, voice vote's fine.
Voice vote? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, go ahead and come forward. Sorry about that. Just give us a little insight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Harold Fay. I'm with Spaceco Inc. We are doing the site civil for this work. I'm here on behalf of Primax Properties, who is the developer of this site. They are headquartered out of North Carolina, so that's why I'm here. We are headquartered out of Rosemont, and I work in the satellite office in Morris.
Oh,
And obviously, the lease will be for Tractor Supply Company. I think I'll just start with just kind of a general overview of Tractor Supply. So they sell a wide range of goods, from tools to sporting goods to blue collar clothing, all the way up to everything for livestock and pets. So that's food, any equipment needed, feed, troughs, things like that. That actually is almost 50% of their sales is livestock and pets.
oh,
So if you see the north, just north of the building there, that concrete area, it's a fenced outdoor display area, as I'll refer to as the FOD. That is where the larger bulk items for, your horses, fence posts, large troughs, any type of coops or anything like that, that'll be stored out there. Basically, anything that doesn't make sense to be in the building will be out there in the fenced outdoor display area. When it comes to employment, every manager has almost always has been a manager at a past Tractor Supply. In total, they have approximately 12 to 20 employees, with 4 to 6 there at a time. They pride themselves on their employees having the knowledge of what they're selling. They want their employees to live the lifestyle, so they hope to find someone who is into horsing or farming or welding, so they can speak on what they are selling. And they do hire locally and promote, within the hiring within. So
that's good.
with that, I guess I'll open it up to you guys if you need me to expand on anything or have any questions.
Commissioner Hollingston, any questions?
Nothing right now, no.
All right, no. To be continued. Commissioner McCure?
Nothing, nothing at this time.
Anything?
Not at this moment,
Thank you.
but I will.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
You're going to be selling food for livestock and that, but you're not going to actually be selling the livestock, correct?
No.
Okay. No four-legged creatures on the checkout counter. Okay, thank you. Thanks. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay. Thank you. That's good information. We move to a motion to open public comment
Make a motion.
in a second.
I'll second, McCure.
All in favor of opening public comment, voice vote, please.
Aye.
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 Thank you. I don't think we have anybody here for public comment. Then we move to a motion to close public comment
Make a motion.
in a second.
I'll second. Wilson.
Thank you. Okay, public comment has been closed. Do we have any old business to discuss tonight?
Can I suggest, Madam Chair, that you have our planning consultant, Natalia, go through the, how do you say your last name again?
Domovesova.
Okay,
can
that.
go by
I'm
Natalia.
sorry. Could you have her go through the review and the planning memo that she provided with, so we have on the record for some of the required zoning departures, and so we can discuss that if there's any specifics and issues that need to be addressed along the way, so. if
Perfect,
that
great idea.
pleases the committee.
Okay, thank you. So as was just mentioned, there are two requests on the table today. And one of them is the map amendment. Currently, the property is zoned residential, and the proposed use is not permitted. That's why the applicant is requesting to rezone the property into B1 business district. So it appears that the proposed zoning designation is consistent with the village's 2008 comprehensive land use plan. And also the property size-wise is also in compliance with the proposed zoning designation. So really, the proposed rezoning is consistent with the overall overlay district along Green Bay Road. The other part of the request is plan development. Plan development is a conditional use permit in B1 zoning district. And the applicant is, the proposed plans that you've seen with your packet illustrate how the proposal complies with the regulations, and also there are some departures from regulations that are noted there. And specifically, I can just briefly go over them for the record as well, that the proposal complies with the minimum setbacks for the yards. The proposal appears to comply with the building height, and maybe that would be a good time to ask the applicant to confirm that if that's possible.
So the highest point on the gable is 30 foot.
30 foot. Okay, that's good because the zoning allows for up to 40 feet in this zoning designation, so that the proposal is in compliance. Let me just make a note so I can add it to the findings as well. There is no lot coverage, and there is no floor area ratio requirements for this. I'm sorry, there are no departures requested from these requirements, so the applicant is in compliance with that. The landscaping, you've seen the landscape plan proposed, is also in compliance, with the exception of the buffer zone that is the landscape setback that is required along the north property line that abuts the property that's zoned residential, as well as the west property line that also abuts the townhouse property zoned residential. Specifically, one of the departure is the reduction of the that landscape buffer from 20 to 7 feet. And then the other requested departure relates to parking. I must note that it seems like the zoning ordinance is more on the conservative side as to parking requirements that apply to this type of uses, the retail uses. And based on the requirements, the site would need to provide 206 spaces. The site plan that's proposed illustrates 83 spaces. So technically, there is a shortage of approximately 123 spaces. And so the question would be for the applicant to provide a little more information on how the facility is proposed to operate and whether you believe that the proposed number of spaces would be adequate to accommodate this. If you-
Before you get started, I have a question. Is this 83 spaces accurate? Because if I looked at your topographical map correctly, it said 81 spaces for automobiles, 2 spaces for trailers, 4 spaces for handicap, and I believe 3 spaces for veterans. That doesn't come to 83. That's 81 plus 4 plus 3 plus 1.
So on the most updated site plan, I believe it is 82, and that is all encompassing of all spots. So that includes ADA, veteran, and trailer.
Yeah,
Okay.
I understand your confusion. The initial site plan
Okay.
did show different numbers
Okay.
as opposed to what was actually illustrated and striped. So that's where but I'm glad it's taken care of.
So yeah, to your initial question, Tractor Supply, on the average, has 4 to 6 customers in their building at a time. In the heavier holidays, approximately 10 to 12. So, and they typically, the repeat customer only comes back once every 6 weeks. So most of the time, they're, again, because the livestock comes up 50% of their sales. So they're usually buying in bulk for their livestock or pets, things of that nature. So in an ideal world, Tractor wants anywhere from 50 to 70 spots in their ideal world. We try to, maximize as much as we can based on your requirements. So we felt, 80 is way over what Tractor wants, but we wanted to maximize the spots, for Beach Park. So according to Tractor, they know their business, better than I do, but that is more than enough for the type of traffic they have. They're more of a slow and steady all day foot traffic as regards to, a high influx of people coming in after work or things like that.
Thank you. I would note that on the site plan, the proposed measurement of the parking stall is wider than what is required by the ordinance.
Okay.
So in theory, if necessary, it could be restriped and according to my calculations, they could gain approximately 6 more spaces if needed.
Right, and if I could speak to that, yeah, as an engineer, we would love to make it, the minimum and get as much as we can on their land. So that is a specific Tractor ask, is they usually have larger pickups,
Mhm.
so they prefer that wider and longer stall as opposed to the minimum. So that is a Tractor request. They are open to reducing that if you do ask that, but they would prefer, the wider and longer stalls.
Yeah, it's certainly what would be the preference of up to the Plan Commission to make that call. But given the nature of the business, it sounds like that is a reasonable parking space dimension. Okay, so did anyone have any questions about the parking, or because this would be one of the requests to approve the parking reduction.
Based on them saying they have 4 to 6 employees there at a time, that's kind of explaining it to me that they're not going to have a high volume in general. You know, I'm sure you're at Christmas time or something like that. You might have somebody looking at it. If you sell toys, you might say like I'll say farm and fleet comparable.
Which they do, yes.
You'll have more traffic at that point,
Yes.
but I can understand that. And as far as the larger spaces, I am with you on that because you're going to have trucks and trailers and all. Yep, in general, you want the spacing because you don't want to be hitting the guy's door next to you. Yeah, so I'd be in agreement on both of those.
Be fine with that
If I can
also.
just say one more thing on the parking, you know, the size of the building is because they have the bulkier items. It's not because they're wanting more customers in there. It's more so they can get everything in there. So.
Okay. Then I would like to move on into some of the comments that we had. And again, they involve some of the questions for the applicant to verify the information. You already provided a lot about business operation description, but there are a couple more. If you could verify the hours of operation, if known at this point, and also security measures that are anticipated for the site, and your potential build out and phasing schedule, if any.
Okay. So yeah, their typical hours are from 8 to 9, and then on Sunday 9 to 7. In the winter months, that it's a little bit slower traffic, so those hours could be reduced. With regards to security, their parking lighting is always on, and along with the lighting on the building will always be on, and then they have some lighting inside that it always remains on 24/7 for security reasons. With regards to any type of phasing, this will all be, you know, there is no projected phasing. This is all to be constructed now. Obviously, they will, you know, start with the soil erosion and sediment control first, and make sure all stormwater is in place before any construction starts. And then finally, they'll do, you know, building, parking, utilities.
Okay. And if you could also comment about when building operation, you mentioned there is a sales of equipment and vehicles, but is it going to be also rent? Because that
No rentals.
no rent,
Strictly just sales.
because that is a separate use that it requires approval, which could be wrapped into the approval. But if that's not part of the business model, then doesn't need to be considered. No rent of vehicles or equipment. And we talked about
Any repairs?
That I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they perform repairs.
Okay, and then we can move on to a question about the single-family house that is on the property to the south of the main parcel that's proposed for development. So there is existing single-family residence there. The property is proposed to be rezoned into B1 zoning district, and the question is, what is the near future or distant future for that residence?
So according to Primex, they want to keep that residential. They want to rezone it to B1, but it'll remain a residential house until they can find either a user or buyer. In their idea, it's maybe an office of some sort, just because we are in the B1, but they do want to make it, they want to go through the process to make it B1 now, just so they can have it teed up for anyone that, if they ever do find a user.
Okay,
But it will remain residential until then.
thank you. Then we move on to look into the lighting plan. I'm sure you've seen the comments. So there are a couple spots on the parking lot, especially along the north and south property lines, that slightly exceed the foot candle maximum level measured at the property line, which is try to get to 0.5 foot candles. So this is something that could be achieved. Well, you, the engineer, you probably know better. by shielding the lights or repositioning the lights or adjusting the actual fixtures? Is it something that you could address?
Yes, absolutely. Primex has their own lighting plan, so I will absolutely relay the message to Primex, and that they understand that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see that as a problem to make those changes and ensure that those are all taken care of.
Okay. And then the other thing is that the zoning ordinance does require for the lighting fixture and pole specifications. Is that something you prepared to provide for? Okay. Moving on into the site access. So as was initially proposed and what we have in front of us, the site plan shows 2 access points of Green Bay Road. Now, Green Bay Road is under jurisdiction of Illinois Department of Transportation, and the approval is required for any curb cuts and modifications to that. And it's my understanding that you worked with the IDOT, and why don't you tell us what the outcome of it?
So we've gone through our first revision with IDOT, and they're only gonna allow one access. So that is, I do have the most up to date here. We're gonna stick with the north one. So yes, IDOT will ultimately have final approval and final say on that, so. They're only gonna allow one access. We kind of went with the approach to ask her as much as we could and then back off after we get there.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to ground sign. So there is one of the plan development requirements is that you provide information about the signage. Looks like there is a sign that is illustrated, at least a placeholder for a ground sign at the north entrance, which is to stay, looks like. Do you have any additional information you can provide at this point, or is it something that you will be providing later on?
Yeah, I don't have any renderings. The only thing I can offer is it will be monument style, for beach park ordinance. But yes, we will provide, a rendering of that in the near future.
Okay. And landscaping, there's been a number of, you see there's a whole page of review of different landscape materials. Most of it is in compliance. There are some departures from the requirements in resulting in fewer number of trees or shrubs. Overall, our landscape consultant felt that the level of landscaping provided is adequate for the property and provides adequate screening. So it did not feel this being a concern and recommended approval of a landscape plan the way it's presented, unless there are questions. One thing that is noted that the site plan illustrated liquid propane tank that's behind the screening proposed north of the building. Just wanted to make sure that it's something up to the fire marshal to approve, and it may have to be screened or shifted differently than proposed. And then we have the village engineer review, which, have you received a copy of it, or okay.
We received our first letter from the village, and we actually returned
Mhm.
our first revision yesterday. So we are one revision through.
So do you have any issues complying with the
I did not.
requirements?
It seems, fairly minor, and this next review, if there's any comments, I feel that it'll be also very minor.
Okay. Well, with that, the Plan Commission, thank you for all the information. With that, the Plan Commission has the following options. So given the information that was just added to the application at this meeting. The Plan Commission could make a recommendation for a final plat, final PD approval. Um, And the way it's outlined in the staff report. But basically, if there are no departures that there are no additional departures based on the additional information that the applicant will just committed to provide, the Plan Commission can just recommend it in this would go to the village board. If there are any departures needed, then we recommend that additional required documents would be reviewed by the Plan Commission at the future meeting. From what I understand and just heard, the applicant feels that they can address all the comments and do not anticipate additional departures. Now, I'll let the applicant speak to that.
Yes, I feel like these departures, that's all.
With the final PD recommendation, we also recommend to include the room for potential amendments. And this could be a minor amendment, so basically any revisions that would not increase the level of the departures that's already being recommended by more than 15% would be allowed to be approved by city staff, village staff. So no additional Plan Commission review and no additional public hearing required. If those amendments are major, meaning that they depart more than 15% of what is being recommended tonight, then that would require Plan Commission review. But again, no formal public hearing. So we're recommending to establish this path forward for any changes that may come up during the further design of this, not just the further design, but also future operation of this business.
That sounds good. I have one question that I forgot to ask earlier. Were there any, do you receive any written notices from people concerning this property?
No, ma'am, no emails, no phone calls.
That's good.
So let me just clarify for the additional information that what we just talked about, we would expect the architectural details, and it's all outlined in the report, the signage plan and the lighting fixture and pole specifications. So we could confirm that they comply with the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
Mm-hmm. They do, and they're willing to adjust it to make it comply.
Yes, and then the remaining requirements that are in the ordinance for plan development that are also listed in the staff report on page 8, we recommend that be waived because those are the requirements that typically apply to large subdivisions or complex mixed-use projects and really do not make sense to be prepared or reviewed for this particular development. And with that, we would recommend a Plan Commission, if the Plan Commission is comfortable moving forward with the proposal, with the request, we would recommend a number of conditions. One of them is relates to the monument sign, that any potential ground sign would be actually a monument style design as opposed to pole sign.
Mhm.
It's just something that generally the village is trying to adhere to higher standards of signage, especially along the busy corridor. The submittal exemptions, it's another recommended condition that we would recommend that the certain documents that are typically required for PD that would not be required. Uh, Everything else is outlined in the city engineer, in the village engineer review comments, so that's subject to be complied with. And that's pretty much it. So the revised plans, the way the outline in the staff memo, in the village engineer. But did you have any questions about any of this? Was it?
I do, but I'm going back a little bit. It says sales of vehicles. What type of vehicles? Are we talking big engine vehicles? What kind of vehicles?
I believe it's just small tractors, like loading tractors for, a small farm or, people with horses, things like that. Smaller rider
Okay.
tractor.
You'll have security cameras, I'm sure, several all over the place.
Yes, I believe.
Parking lot and
I'll have to
your-
check. I
what
know
you're
they have
storing?
it all in the building, but I have to check if they have them in.
And we have a number of findings of fact, which are required by the zoning ordinance. There's a set of findings for the map amendment, set of findings for conditional use permit, and set of findings for standards for the plan development. So if the draft findings have been outlined and included with the agenda backup, they will, again, these are draft findings for the most part. That will be updated with the new information that we received and clarification that we received today. Overall, the findings conclude that the proposal meets the standards of the ordinance as they said.
Yes. Would you like to have these read for the record orally, the finding of facts?
No, we don't need them read into the record.
Okay.
You have the draft.
Mhm.
If there's any questions or comments on it, if you
The Plan Commission directs the planning consultant to complete the draft findings of fact for the map amendment and conditional use permit for planned development listed in sections 5 and 6 and 7 of this document. Do you need me to read the other?
If you usually do them separately or, yeah, if you do them separately, then it
Would
should
you want
be.
the two
Either
two
way, it's
separate
fine.
together?
Separately, this is good.
Okay. Then we would need a roll call vote, please, for doing it for the zoning and the plan development requests. You have a roll call vote, please?
What are we voting on here?
Commissioner Ochoa,
Aye,
Zoning
This-
and development.
yeah.
Commissioner Hollingshead,
Aye.
Commissioner McCure,
I'm sorry, I missed a turn here. What are we voting on?
Yeah, so this is basically to
There's no-
recommend, to direct your planning consultant to update the findings per the information that was presented tonight.
Okay, all right.
And the plan development.
Commissioner Wood,
He's absent.
He's not here.
No.
Commissioner Kenred. I keep on saying your name wrong. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Get them all?
No.
You can call
You
Commissioner
have
Wilson.
Wilson.
didn't you? I thought that was Wood. Yeah, I heard
I
Wood.
heard Wood too.
We're all training.
Yeah. We're a little rusty.
And then
Missed a month.
Life is a big train.
And this will go before the Board of Trustees. We're just a recommending body and they get the final say. When?
So was it, I thought there was, we need another motion to make that
Yes,
recommendation.
so there are
more than-
two
Okay.
other motions.
That board approved the map. Go ahead.
So there's number 2.
Yep.
Yeah, next page.
Yep, I'll read it. We did the,
Yeah, we just did this one.
This one, now we
and
need
just
2.
need this one and this one.
okay, those 3. Okay, now we're gonna be thinking about that the Plan Commission recommends the village board approval of a map amendment to change the zoning designation of the property at 39172 and 39120 North Green Bay Road from suburban residential district to a business district, one within the Wadsworth Road, Green Bay Road Corridor Overlay District. And then we'll have a vote on that, roll call vote on that.
Motion second.
Do the other one right together? Okay. This is the Plan Commission recommends the village board approval of a plan development conditional use permit with the plan development departures, which would allow the development at 39172 and 39120 North Green Bay Road as outlined in the February 21st, 2023 Planning and Zoning Consultants Memorandum, subject to the following conditions.
The conditions as noted on the report is fine. You don't have to read them. That's,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
We need a motion to second, Madam Chair.
A motion to vote on the 2 motions that were just presented to you, 2 and 3.
I'll make a motion.
And a second, please.
I second.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ochoa,
Aye.
Commissioner Hollingshead,
Aye.
Commissioner McCure,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
and can you please tell me how to pronounce your last name? I don't want to keep on getting it wrong.
Kindred,
Kendrick.
like kindred spirits.
Kindred spirit.
Yeah.
Kindred?
Kindred. Yes. I.
Kendrick. Thank you.
That's the way to get it right.
And what date will this go before the Board of Trustees?
That's a good question. If I can get it done tomorrow, it will be March 9th.
Okay,
I'll consult with trustee Wells on his preference first, though, I think.
okay, thank you. And it's usually on the second or the fourth Thursday of the month, and
Yes.
it's the same place. Trustee Wells. Good. Do you have anything you would like to share with us from the board?
Just like to welcome our new board member.
Yes.
As soon as someone had the introductory position.
She introduced herself to everybody, I believe, right?
I'm better.
Everybody met me.
We just want to make sure.
I just didn't make it a public announcement.
But you're public now, see?
Yeah.
You want us to make it a motion?
Say it out.
No.
Our motion is we're glad you're with us.
I second.
Yep.
I'll third it.
All in favor?
Do we need to do a roll call?
Yeah. Trustee Wells, any old business to share with us? No? New business besides what we just went through? No, we just did new business, didn't we? It has. We try hard.
Madam Chair, if I could, on just one announcement, we do have that Plan Commission training session. I didn't hear from everybody, not that I needed to, so I'm just bringing it up now again for your convenience. April 20th, we're still waiting for the second professional to be identified, and once that person's identified, we'll get all the details out. But it's just April 20th at 6 p.m. So looking forward to a couple hours of, going through the process procedures, different types of development and everything else. So thank you. That's all I
That
had.
sounds good. Thank you. Now we come to our last fun thing to do. All in favor of adjourning? Have an adjournment of the meeting?
Aye.
Voice vote, please. Who's ready to adjourn and warm up our cars? It's cold out there.
Yeah, no. Aye.
Yeah.
Anybody opposed stays here till the next meeting.
Thank you so much for enlightening us. And commissioners, thank you so much for coming tonight. It's a cold night out there, but I really appreciate your input. Thank you. We'll have fun in April.